First off, I'd like to say that speech class was a lot of fun. It was definitely more fun than I expected. I actually didn't know what to expect when I first took the class, but I really enjoyed it, and I've learned a few key tips that I'm going to keep with me forever, which I feel are the most important for a good speech. So, number 1, know your facts. When you're giving a speech, you need to go up there and know what you're talking about. Do your research, write it down. Number 1, if you don't know your facts, it's going to be a bad speech because you're obviously making it up off the top of your head and you really don't know what you're talking about. And number 2, if at the end the audience has questions, how are you going to answer those questions if you don't know your facts? So this is very important. Number 2, know your audience. Now, you are not going to talk to a group of 5-year-olds the way you would talk to a group of 30-year-olds. You are not going to talk to a group of 60-year-olds the way you would talk to your peers, okay? You need to know your audience, know who you're talking to, what's the age group, maybe where did they come from. You need to relate to them. When you relate to the audience, they receive your message more effectively. Okay, number 3, a good start and a good end makes for a good speech. Now, the beginning of your speech should be attention grabbing. It should capture the audience and make them want to know more. It should keep them engaged for most of the time. Now, the end of your speech should also be very strong. It should leave them on a positive note, or it should leave them asking questions. It should leave them wanting to know more about whatever it is that you were talking about. Okay, if the audience asks questions at the end, that's a good sign of a good speech, in my eyes. Okay, next, visuals. Okay, now, I always thought visuals was just like PowerPoint, but I did learn that you can use pictures, you can draw charts. I mean, visuals can really be anything physical that you bring and you show your audience what you're talking about. I personally like visuals. I think too many visuals can be overwhelming for the class and they won't pay attention to what you're saying, which is the best part. So keep the visuals to a minimum, but having visuals is definitely important in helping keeping your audience engaged. Okay, next, credible sources. Okay, now, TMZ is probably not a credible source. Sometimes the news is not even a credible source. A credible source could be a book. It could be an article that's published. A credible source could even be somebody who works in the field that you were talking about or works closely around the subject that you were talking about. So you need to make sure they're credible because having a credible source ties into knowing your facts, which ties into keeping your audience engaged. And so they all basically tie into each other to make a good speech. Okay, now lastly, practice. Okay, I know it can sound corny, but practice really does make perfect. Okay, before you give a speech, it's good to practice in front of your friends, in front of your family, even in front of the mirror. You could even record yourself before you actually go and give the speech so that you can play it back and see what you did wrong. Maybe you need more eye contact. Maybe you need to smile more. Maybe you need less visuals. Maybe you need more visuals. Whatever it is, practice really does help. And it's also good if you're a really nervous person to just keep practicing because you need to be confident in your speech. And confidence really shows in a good speaker. And that's it.